Mia had always enjoyed the thrill of the forbidden. It was an escape, a rush, an intoxicating feeling that pulled her in with a force she couldn't resist. She loved the excitement of it all, the secret meetings, the stolen glances, the thrill of knowing that no one would ever find out. But there was something else, something deeper, that she never quite acknowledged. Her husband, Adam, was everything she could have wanted. He was kind, dependable, and deeply in love with her. He provided for their family, and they had built a comfortable life together. But somewhere along the way, the spark between them had faded, and Mia found herself searching for excitement elsewhere. It started innocently enough, a fleeting glance from a colleague at work, a lingering touch from an old acquaintance at a party. But soon, it grew into something more. A secret affair here, a stolen kiss there. Each time, she felt alive in ways Adam couldn't offer. The thrill of being with someone new, someone who wasn't tied to her daily life, was addicting. But Mia never thought it would go this far. She didn't think she could ever lose control. And certainly, she never imagined that one day it would all come crashing down. It was a Friday night when it happened. She had spent the week wrapped up in the chaos of her affair with Nathan, a man who was nothing like Adam, who brought out a side of her that felt wild, untamed, and free. They had a connection that Mia couldn't deny. The attraction was electric, a palpable tension that sparked every time they were alone. That night, after a particularly passionate encounter, Nathan had told her he needed to leave early. She hadn't thought much of it. It wasn't unusual. But there was something in his eyes, as he gathered his things that night, a distance, a finality, that made her uneasy. "Are you okay?" she asked, her voice soft, her heart racing. Nathan turned to her with a faint smile. "Yeah, just some stuff to take care of," he said, avoiding her gaze. "I'll see you soon, Mia." She kissed him goodbye, trying to push the unsettling feeling away. She didn't need him to explain himself. He was just one of many men who had come and gone in her life. She had her husband, after all. But when Nathan left, a strange emptiness lingered in the air, and Mia couldn't shake the feeling that something had shifted. The next morning, Mia woke up to the usual sounds of the house. Adam making coffee, the kids running around, the hum of everyday life. It was all so normal, so predictable. But Mia couldn't concentrate. Her thoughts kept drifting to Nathan, and the way he had looked at her as he walked out the door. Something had felt off, but she pushed it aside, telling herself it was just her imagination. She didn't hear from Nathan that day or the next. At first, she thought it was normal. Maybe he was busy with his own life. Maybe he needed space. But then, as the days passed, the silence grew unbearable. By Sunday evening, Mia's anxiety had reached a breaking point. She picked up her phone, her fingers hovering over Nathan's name, but the words wouldn't come. She couldn't explain it. Why was she so obsessed with this? She had other men to turn to, other thrills to chase. But Nathan had something she couldn't define, a hold on her that was growing stronger with each passing day. Finally, she decided to confront him. She sent a simple text. "We need to talk. Where are you?" She waited and waited. But there was no reply. By Monday, Mia was a mess. She couldn't focus on anything, work, home, her family. It was all a blur. And every time she checked her phone, her heart skipped a beat, expecting a message from Nathan. But there was nothing. It wasn't until the next day, while Mia was folding laundry, that she saw it, the text message from Nathan. But when she opened it, her heart sank. It was short, matter of fact. "I think it's best we don't see each other anymore. This isn't working for me. Take care." The words were like a slap across her face. Mia stood frozen in the middle of the living room, the phone in her hand, her mind racing. This was it. The thrill, the excitement, the escape, it was all over. Nathan was gone, just like that. No explanations. No goodbye. He had simply vanished. The emptiness hit Mia harder than she could have imagined. The rush of excitement, the adrenaline, the dangerous game she had been playing, it had all come to an abrupt halt. She had never expected him to just walk away, to make her feel disposable. But now, standing in the cold silence of her house, Mia realized something important. She had been using these affairs to fill a void inside her, to escape from the reality she had built with Adam. But now, the emptiness felt like a gaping wound. She sank to her knees, clutching her phone, the tears coming without warning. She didn't know if it was because Nathan had left or because she had finally come to the painful realization that no matter how many men she was with, she couldn't escape herself. And as the weight of her actions settled in, Mia couldn't help but wonder, had the thrill been worth it? The days after Nathan's sudden departure dragged on, in a haze of confusion and regret. Mia couldn't stop replaying the text he had sent. His words echoed in her mind, each one like a cold gust of wind, cutting deeper as time passed. "This isn't working for me." Those words stung in ways she hadn't expected. She thought she was the one who held the power in their arrangement. She was the one in control, using him for an escape. But now, she felt like the one who had been used, left behind, forgotten. Adam noticed the change in her, though he didn't ask. Mia could tell by the way his eyes lingered on her, how his attempts at conversation became more hesitant. She had tried to mask it, to keep up appearances for the sake of their family, but inside, she was unraveling. The thrill of being with someone else had consumed her for so long, and now that it was gone, she was left to face the emptiness of her own choices. It was Thursday evening when the inevitable conversation took place. Adam had returned from work earlier than usual, and Mia had made dinner, her usual routine, though it felt robotic. The kids were at a friend's house for a sleepover, giving them the rare opportunity to talk in peace. As they sat down at the table, Adam looked at her carefully, his eyes searching for something. "Mia, we need to talk," he said, his voice steady but tinged with concern. Mia's stomach tightened. She knew this was coming. Adam wasn't blind. He had noticed her distance, the way she had been drifting for months, perhaps even longer. The thought of confessing, of explaining the mess she had gotten herself into, made her feel nauseous. But she knew this moment was inevitable. "About what?" Mia asked, trying to keep her voice casual but failing. She could feel the weight of the conversation pressing on her chest. Adam didn't answer right away. He simply reached across the table and took her hand in his grip firm yet gentle. "I don't know how to say this, but I can feel it, Mia. I can feel the distance between us. It's like you're here, but you're not here. And I've been trying to ignore it, trying to pretend everything's fine, but it's not, is it?" Mia looked down at their joined hands, her heart racing. She wanted to scream, to confess everything, to come clean. But the fear of losing him, of destroying everything they had built, kept her silent. "I don't know what you're talking about," she said, though the words felt hollow even to her. The lies were suffocating her, and for the first time, she felt trapped. Adam's expression softened, but there was a sadness in his eyes that made Mia's chest tighten. "I don't want to accuse you of anything, Mia. I just want to understand. I want to help you. If something's going on, if you're unhappy, we can work through it. But I can't do it alone." The tears she had been holding back threatened to spill over. She had never imagined Adam would approach her like this, so open, so willing to listen. He deserved the truth, but Mia wasn't sure she was strong enough to give it to him. How could she tell him what she had done? How could she admit that she had betrayed the one person who had never given her a reason to doubt his love? "I don't know what to say," Mia whispered, her voice breaking. I don't know if I can fix this, Adam. I don't even know if I can fix myself. Adam squeezed her hand. We can try, Mia, but you have to be honest with me. Whatever it is, we'll face it together. Mia shook her head, her breath shaky. She could feel the weight of her guilt pressing down on her, suffocating her. I've made mistakes, Adam. I've made a lot of them. Adam's face softened, but the disappointment in his eyes was unmistakable. What kind of mistakes, Mia? Please, just tell me. I don't want to lose you. The floodgates opened. The words, the lies, everything she had been holding back for so long poured out of her in a rush. She told him about Nathan, about the affairs, about the thrill of someone else, someone who had made her feel alive again, even if it was only for a brief moment. She told him how she had used Nathan to escape from the cracks in their marriage, how she had needed the excitement of something forbidden to feel like herself again. As the confession spilled from her lips, Mia could see the devastation in Adam's eyes. His face paled, and he withdrew his hand from hers, the distance between them growing exponentially with each word she spoke. When she finished, she felt empty, hollow, like the weight of her betrayal had sucked all the life out of her. I'm so sorry, she whispered, her voice barely audible. I never meant to hurt you. I never meant for it to get this far. Adam sat there in stunned silence for a long moment, his eyes fixed on her. Mia couldn't bring herself to meet his gaze. The shame, the guilt, it was suffocating. She wanted him to yell at her, to demand answers, to make her understand the depth of the pain she had caused. But Adam didn't say a word. Finally, he stood, pushing his chair back with a harsh scrape. I need some time, Mia. I need time to think about this, to process it all. Mia nodded, the tears streaming down her face as she watched him walk out of the room. She wanted to reach out, to beg him to stay, to make it right, but she knew it was too late for that. The damage was done. She sat in the silence of their home, the emptiness she had once sought now swallowing her whole. Nathan had walked away without a word, but now Adam was doing the same. And for the first time, Mia realized the truth. She wasn't just losing Adam. She was losing herself. The next few days passed in a strange, suspended silence. Adam had taken a step back, retreating into himself, his emotions unreadable. He didn't yell, didn't ask for any explanations. He simply withdrew. It was as though the man Mia had spent years with was slipping through her fingers, and no matter how much she reached out, she couldn't hold on to him. Mia was left alone with her thoughts, and the crushing weight of what she had done. She couldn't escape it. Her phone buzzed with notifications, work, messages from friends, but everything felt so insignificant compared to the devastation she had caused. Every moment felt like a reminder of her betrayal. She would lie awake at night, staring at the ceiling, her mind replaying the same thoughts over and over again. What had she done? Was it all worth it? Was Nathan worth losing Adam? The next weekend, Mia found herself sitting at the kitchen table, staring at the untouched breakfast she had made. Adam was at work, the house silent save for the faint hum of the refrigerator. The absence of his presence felt like a physical ache in her chest. She had tried to give him space, to respect his need for time, but the distance between them felt insurmountable. She checked her phone again, searching for a message, any sign that Adam was still there, still willing to talk. But there was nothing. He had said he needed time, and Mia understood that. She did. But the weight was unbearable. Just as she was about to set the phone down, it buzzed with a message. She quickly unlocked it, her heart racing. It was from Nathan. Mia, I think about you a lot. I miss what we had. Are you okay? Her breath caught in her throat. What do I do now? She thought. She hadn't expected to hear from Nathan again. The way he had walked away without a second glance had stung, but his message brought a strange mix of relief and confusion. Could he sense her desperation? Did he miss her too? For a moment, Mia considered replying. She wanted to. A part of her missed the excitement, the thrill of their secret connection. But as her fingers hovered over the keyboard, the harsh reality of her situation hit her. She wasn't just betraying Adam anymore. She was betraying herself. She had been running from the pain, from the emptiness, and now she had to face it. "I can't do this anymore," she typed, before quickly hitting send. She stared at the screen for a moment, the weight of the decision settling over her like a thick fog. It was over. She needed to move on. But the emptiness left behind by Nathan's departure, and her own decisions, still lingered. Adam returned that evening, his face drawn and tired from a long day at work. He didn't speak at first. Instead, he took off his coat and sat on the couch, his hands resting on his knees. The silence between them was suffocating, and Mia could barely breathe under the pressure. After what felt like an eternity, Adam spoke, his voice low and measured. "Mia, I've been thinking about everything you said, and I've thought about us, about whether we can fix this." Mia's heart skipped a beat. She had been waiting for him to say something, anything. But now that the moment was here, she wasn't sure if she was ready for it. She couldn't bear the thought of losing him, of losing everything they had built. But could she ever earn back his trust? Could they rebuild what she had torn down? "I know I've hurt you," she said, her voice barely a whisper. "I can't take back what I've done. I never meant to hurt you, Adam. I never thought. I never thought I would let things go this far." Adam nodded slowly, his eyes never leaving hers. "I don't know if I can forgive you, Mia. I don't know if I can ever forget what you've done. But I also know that this isn't something we can just walk away from. We have a family, a life together. And I want to try. I don't know how, but I want to try." Mia's throat tightened as the weight of his words settled over her. He wanted to try. He wasn't giving up on her. On them. And that single gesture, his willingness to try, felt like a lifeline in a sea of guilt and despair. She sat down beside him, taking his hand in hers. The touch was tentative, fragile, but it was a start. "I'll do whatever it takes, Adam. I'm so sorry. I'll do whatever it takes to make it right." He squeezed her hand, his grip strong but shaky. "I need time, Mia. I need time to process all of this. But I'm willing to give it a chance." As the night stretched on, they sat together, not speaking much, but the weight of the silence felt different now. There was still a long road ahead, a path filled with uncertainty, but for the first time in days, Mia felt a glimmer of hope. She didn't know what the future would hold, but she knew one thing for certain. She had to rebuild, not just with Adam, but with herself. The damage had been done, but it wasn't too late to try to heal. The weeks that followed were a blur of uneasy peace and fragile attempts at recovery. Mia didn't expect the road to be easy. She knew that rebuilding trust after betrayal was a long and painful process. Adam's words from that night kept repeating in her head. "I want to try." That simple sentence had given her a sliver of hope, but now, in the quiet aftermath, it felt like the weight of the world was pressing down on her. Each day, she tried to be the wife Adam needed, the mother their children deserved. She made breakfast, helped with homework, and kept the house in order. But beneath the surface, Mia was battling a storm of guilt, shame, and self-loathing. The truth of her affair with Nathan, of how she had used someone else to fill the empty spaces in her heart, still gnawed at her. She avoided Nathan's calls, ignored his texts. It was hard, though. He had been her escape, the one who made her feel alive again when everything in her life seemed to have faded into routine. But Nathan wasn't what she needed now. The excitement, the thrill, It had all been an illusion, a way to distract herself from the deeper issues she was too afraid to confront. Adam, on the other hand, had been distant, his patience running thin with each passing day. He didn't want to talk about what had happened. He didn't ask questions, didn't demand answers, but his silence spoke volumes. Mia couldn't tell if he was waiting for her to prove herself or if he was quietly resigning himself to the idea that their marriage was beyond saving. One night, after the kids had gone to bed, Mia sat at the kitchen table, trying to gather her thoughts. Adam was in the living room, flipping through a magazine, the sound of the TV muted in the background. He hadn't spoken much today, but there was something different about the quiet that made Mia uneasy. She needed to know where they stood. She needed to know if there was even a chance for them to move forward, or if this was just a slow descent into a hollow shell of what they once were. She stood up, her palms sweaty, and walked into the living room. Adam looked up from his magazine, his eyes weary but not surprised. "Mia, what's going on?" he asked, his voice quiet. "I can tell you're carrying something around. I know you're trying, but I need to know. Are you really ready for this? For us?" Mia swallowed hard, the lump in her throat making it almost impossible to speak. She wanted to tell him everything. She wanted to apologize over and over, to beg him to forgive her. But she knew that wasn't enough. Words couldn't undo what had been done. "I don't know if I'm ready," she admitted, her voice cracking. "I don't know if I can ever be the woman you want me to be again. But I'm trying, Adam. I'm trying to find myself again. I'm trying to fix what I broke." Adam put the magazine down and leaned back on the couch, his face a mask of quiet frustration. "You don't get it, do you, Mia?" His voice was soft, but the hurt was clear. "This isn't just about fixing things. It's about trust. It's about feeling safe with the person you love. And I don't feel safe anymore." Mia's chest tightened. "I know," she whispered. "I know, and I hate myself for it. I've destroyed everything. You trusted me, and I broke that trust. I don't know how to fix it." Adam exhaled deeply, rubbing his face in frustration. "I want to believe you, Mia. I really do. But this isn't just about you coming back and saying you're sorry. This is about whether or not I can even look at you the same way again." The words hit her like a punch in the gut. Mia took a step back, her knees almost buckling beneath her. She hadn't realized how much she had been depending on Adam's willingness to forgive her, his desire to make it work. But he was right. Forgiveness wasn't just about saying the right words. It was about the slow, painful process of rebuilding something that had been shattered beyond repair. "I'm sorry," Mia whispered again, the tears threatening to spill. "I'm sorry for everything." Adam looked up at her, his face weary but not devoid of emotion. "I'm not asking for an apology, Mia. I'm asking for the truth, the whole truth. And I'm asking myself if I can ever feel safe with you again." The days that followed were quiet, but filled with tension. Mia tried to respect Adam's space, but the silence between them was suffocating. She wanted to reach out, to reassure him that she was truly sorry, but she knew that wasn't what he needed. He needed time, and so did she. Time to understand what had gone wrong, time to process everything that had happened. Nathan, meanwhile, had continued to send her messages. His texts were occasional at first, nothing more than a quick check-in to see if she was doing okay. But as the days turned into weeks, his messages grew more persistent, more desperate. "I miss you, Mia. I can't stop thinking about you. We should talk." Mia knew what Nathan wanted. He wanted to pick up where they had left off. But she couldn't do it. She couldn't go back to that place, to that person who had used her as a distraction from the pain she had been running from. She couldn't let herself be consumed by the fantasy of a perfect affair anymore. But when she saw Nathan's name flash across her screen again, a small part of her felt the familiar pull, the temptation, the rush that had once made her feel alive. She hesitated, her fingers hovering over the message. But then, with a deep breath, she put the phone down. She had made her choice. It was time to stop running. Time to stop seeking the thrill of someone else's arms to fill the void inside her. The next week, Mia sat down with Adam again. It was the hardest conversation they'd had yet. She didn't know what the future held, but she knew one thing. She had to stop hiding, stop lying, stop seeking the thrill of someone else's love. "I want to try," Mia said quietly. "I want to fight for us. I don't know if you can ever forgive me, but I'm asking for a chance. A real chance to rebuild." Adam didn't say anything at first. He just looked at her, his eyes tired, his face a mixture of hope and pain. Then, finally, he nodded. "I'm not making promises, Mia," he said softly, "but I'll give you a chance. Let's take it one day at a time. We both have a lot of work to do." Mia nodded, her heart swelling with a mix of relief and fear. The road ahead wouldn't be easy, but it was the road she had chosen. And for the first time in a long time, it felt like a choice that might actually lead to something real. The days after their conversation were an uneasy truce. Mia and Adam were living in the same house, sharing the same space, but everything felt different. Every word was measured, every glance loaded with meaning. Mia wasn't sure if this was progress or just the calm before the storm. Adam had agreed to give their marriage a chance, but Mia knew the trust that had been broken couldn't be easily repaired. It was one thing for Adam to say he was willing to try. It was another for him to actually feel that way, to not be haunted by the betrayal every time he looked at her. Mia couldn't shake the fear that the damage had been done, that no matter how much time passed, Adam would never look at her the same way again. Mia's attempt to rebuild their connection came in small, tentative steps. She made sure to show up for him in ways she hadn't in months. She made breakfast every morning, took extra care in planning family outings, and paid attention to the small things, his favorite coffee blend, the way he liked his shirts folded. She knew it wasn't enough to erase the past, but it was all she could do for now. But with each passing day, Mia noticed the subtle shifts in Adam's behavior. He was polite, cordial even, but there was a wall between them now. The intimacy they had once shared was gone, replaced by an uncomfortable distance. They spoke, but the conversations felt hollow. There were no lingering touches, no playful teasing, no warmth in the way they communicated. Mia had broken something that couldn't be fixed with simple gestures or promises. On the weekend, Adam suggested they take a day trip to the beach, just the two of them. He said it was important for them to reconnect, to step away from the routine for a while. Mia agreed, hoping the change of scenery might give them the space they needed to find each other again. They drove in silence, the hum of the car's engine filling the void. Mia glanced at Adam occasionally, trying to read his expression, but his face was unreadable. His gaze was fixed ahead, as though he was lost in his own thoughts. When they arrived at the beach, it was quiet and serene, the waves crashing gently against the shore. The air was cool and salty, and Mia let out a deep breath, trying to clear her mind. They walked along the water's edge, the sand soft beneath their feet. Finally, Adam broke the silence. "Do you think we can make this work, Mia?" Mia's heart skipped a beat. The question had been hanging in the air for weeks, and now it was out there, hanging between them like a fragile thread. Could they? She wanted to say yes, wanted to believe that they could rebuild, but the weight of the last few months held her back. "I want to," she said softly, her voice barely a whisper. "I really want to, Adam, but I don't know how to make up for what I did. I don't know if I can ever fix what's broken." Adam stopped walking and turned to face her, his eyes searching hers. Mia, I'm not expecting you to fix everything. I'm not even expecting you to have all the answers. I just need to know that you're committed to trying, that you want to work through this." Mia's chest tightened. She wanted to promise him that everything would be okay, but she couldn't. She wasn't sure herself. All she knew was that she didn't want to lose him, that she didn't want their story to end in heartbreak. "I am committed," she said, her voice stronger this time. "But I need time too. I need to work through this. If you found out your partner was cheating, write in the comments. Time too. I need to work through this. I need to find a way to be whole again before I can be the wife you deserve." Adam nodded slowly, his expression softening. "I can give you that. But we have to be honest with each other. No more secrets. No more lies." Mia looked at him, the weight of his words sinking in. She knew she had to face the truth, not just for Adam's sake but for her own. She had to confront her own mistakes, her own insecurities, if she ever hoped to rebuild their marriage. "I'll do whatever it takes," Mia promised, her heart swelling with determination. "But it's going to take time, Adam. I can't promise you that it'll be easy, but I'm here. I want to be here with you." They stood there, side by side, the sound of the waves crashing around them. For the first time in weeks, Mia felt a flicker of hope. She wasn't sure what the future held, but she knew that this was the beginning of something. A new chapter, where both of them would have to work hard to find their way back to each other. As the sun began to set, casting a golden hue across the horizon, Mia and Adam walked back to the car in silence. But the silence wasn't as heavy as it had been before. There was something unspoken between them now, a shared understanding that the road ahead would be difficult, but it wasn't impossible. When they got back to the car, Adam reached for her hand, his fingers brushing against hers. It was a simple gesture, but to Mia, it felt like a lifeline. They drove home in the quiet, the weight of their conversation still hanging in the air, but this time, it didn't feel like a burden. Mia knew they had a long way to go. But for the first time in a while, she felt like they were on the same team again. And that, for now, was enough. Mia had never been the kind of person to face her flaws head-on. She had always hidden behind the veil of charm, using it to escape the deeper emotions she didn't want to confront. But now, as Adam's quiet patience and his willingness to try pushed her toward honesty, she couldn't hide anymore. The weeks after their trip to the beach had been filled with small, tentative steps toward rebuilding their marriage. Adam was trying, she could see that. He was kinder, more patient, more present with her and the kids. But Mia knew he was also holding something back, a wall he had built to protect himself from the hurt she had caused. And as much as she tried to be there for him, to show him that she was committed to repairing what she had broken, she couldn't help but feel the distance between them. It was in the small moments. When they sat at the dinner table, their conversation was polite, but there was an undercurrent of tension. When Mia reached out to touch his arm, he flinched ever so slightly, as though he wasn't sure he was ready for the intimacy yet. It hurt, but Mia knew she couldn't rush this. She had shattered his trust, and now she had to rebuild it, piece by piece. But some days, the weight of it all was unbearable. She didn't know if she could ever fully repair the damage. She didn't know if Adam would ever look at her the way he used to. One evening, Mia was cleaning the house, trying to distract herself from the gnawing emptiness that seemed to follow her everywhere. The kids were at a friend's house, leaving her with the quiet of the house. She hadn't heard from Nathan in weeks, and the temptation to reach out was still there, though she knew it was wrong. She had made a choice, and it was time to stick to it. Her phone buzzed, pulling her from her thoughts. She glanced at the screen, her heart skipping a beat when she saw Nathan's name. She hesitated for a moment, but then, without thinking, she opened the message. "Mia, I miss you. I've been thinking about you a lot lately. I know things ended badly, but I just can't forget about you. Can we talk? Mia's heart raced as she read the message over and over. Nathan had always been her escape, her secret thrill. Even now, the thought of him made her pulse quicken, her body aching for the passion they had shared. But she had made a promise to Adam. She had made a promise to herself. With a shaky breath, Mia locked her phone and set it down. She didn't respond. She couldn't. The thrill of Nathan was tempting, but Mia had already learned the hard way that it was an illusion, a fleeting escape from the deeper issues she needed to face. That evening, Adam came home late, as usual. He had been working long hours at the office, and Mia could tell he was exhausted. She was in the kitchen, preparing dinner when he walked in. He kissed her on the cheek, but there was still that invisible distance between them. They hadn't had a conversation like the one they had at the beach in a while. Things had settled into an uncomfortable routine. "How was work?" Mia asked, trying to make small talk. "Busy," Adam replied, running a hand through his hair. "You know how it goes. Meetings, calls, the usual." Mia nodded, but the silence between them was oppressive. She could tell that Adam was still holding something back. He was trying, yes, but it was as though he didn't fully trust her yet, not in the way he used to. And Mia couldn't blame him. As she served dinner, she felt the weight of the conversation they hadn't had, the one they both needed to have. They needed to talk about what had happened, about where they were now, about how they were supposed to move forward from here. But as much as Mia wanted to confront him, to ask the questions that were plaguing her, she didn't. She didn't want to push him, to force him into a conversation he wasn't ready for. The truth was, Mia wasn't sure if she was ready for that conversation either. After dinner, Adam helped clear the table, and Mia was surprised when he turned to her, his face serious. "Mia," he said, his voice low, "we need to talk." Her heart skipped a beat. This was it. The conversation they had been avoiding for weeks. She set the dish down in her hand and turned to face him. "Okay," she said quietly, trying to steady her breath. "What do we need to talk about?" Adam took a deep breath, running a hand through his hair. "I've been thinking a lot about us. About everything. And I'm not going to lie to you, Mia. I'm not sure where we go from here. I'm not sure if we can ever go back to the way things were." Mia's stomach dropped. She knew this was coming, but hearing the words from Adam's lips made it feel real. "I don't know either," she whispered, her voice shaking. "But I want to try. I'm here, Adam. I'm here, and I'm not going anywhere. I'm not giving up on us." Adam's eyes softened, and for a moment, Mia thought he might say something to reassure her. But instead, he just nodded, his expression unreadable. "I'm not giving up on us either," he said quietly. "But I need to know that you're really in this. That you're committed to fixing what you broke. Because I can't keep going if I'm just waiting for you to slip away again." Mia's heart ached at his words. She hadn't realized how much he was still holding on to the hope of him, how much he was still giving, despite everything. She had hurt him so deeply, but he was still here, still willing to try. She could feel the weight of his words, the fear that he might be losing hope in her. "I am committed, Adam," Mia said, her voice steady despite the tears in her eyes. "I'm here, and I'll do whatever it takes to make this work." Adam nodded slowly, his gaze intense. "I need to see that, Mia. I need to feel like you're really here with me. I can't do this alone." Later that night, as they lay in bed, Mia turned toward Adam, her heart heavy with the weight of their conversation. She didn't know if they would ever fully recover from what had happened. She didn't know if trust could ever be rebuilt completely. But she knew one thing. She wasn't going to let him go. As they lay there in silence, the room dark and still, Mia closed her eyes and whispered, "I love you, Adam." And for the first time in a long time, Adam's voice answered her. I love you too. It had been nearly 2 months since that pivotal conversation with Adam. The tension between them was still thick, though the silence had gradually shifted into something more manageable. Mia had kept her promise. She was committed. But there were days when she could feel the weight of the fracture between them, like a deep cut that had started to heal but still hurt with every touch. They tried. Every morning, Mia woke up with a renewed sense of purpose, reminding herself that she was fighting for her family, for their love. She made breakfast, helped the kids with their school projects, and did everything she could to hold things together. Adam was present, physically, but emotionally, he remained distant. He wasn't rude, nor was he cold. It was just that in the quiet moments between them, Mia could feel the space that had grown. It was as though he was still waiting, watching, holding back. And Mia wasn't sure how long she could keep trying before the weight of it all would break her too. One night, after they had tucked the kids into bed, Adam finally spoke again. They were sitting on the couch, the evening news playing softly in the background. The house was quiet, peaceful even, but Mia couldn't shake the feeling that they were living in a fragile bubble. A bubble that could burst at any moment. I've been thinking, Adam started, his voice steady but heavy. About everything. About where we're at. Mia turned to face him, her heart pounding. She didn't know what he was going to say, but she feared the worst. He had never said anything about giving up on their marriage, but the silence between them was like an unspoken agreement that they were both treading carefully, afraid to push too far. Okay, Mia said, her voice low but steady. What are you thinking? Adam exhaled slowly, his gaze dropping to the floor before meeting her eyes. I don't know, Mia. I'm torn. I still love you, and I want to believe that we can fix this, that we can find our way back. But I can't shake the feeling that you've already checked out, that you're still holding on to something that isn't us. And I don't know how much longer I can keep pretending everything is fine. The word stung more than Mia expected. She had hoped they were making progress, that maybe, just maybe, she was starting to rebuild his trust. But hearing him speak like this made it clear that she had failed, that her efforts had only served to maintain a fragile illusion of peace. I'm not checked out, Adam, she said, her voice trembling despite her attempt to stay strong. I swear I'm not. This is harder than I thought. It's not about you. It's about me. I've been trying to figure out how to fix myself, how to make things right with you, and I feel like I'm failing at both. Adam reached out and took her hand, his touch soft but firm. I don't want you to feel like you're failing, Mia. I just need to know that you're really here, that you're not still hiding behind the past. Mia looked at him, the tears she had been holding back threatening to spill. I am here, she whispered. I'm here, and I don't know how to make up for what I did. But I'm trying, Adam. Every day I'm trying. The following days were filled with tentative steps towards something resembling normalcy. Adam and Mia talked more, though it was always about the surface details of their life. The kids' work, household chores, anything except the real issue. And Mia knew it. She knew that Adam was still processing, still unsure of how to navigate the wreckage of their marriage. One evening, Mia came home from work to find Adam sitting in the living room, his phone in his hand, his brow furrowed in concentration. He looked up when she walked in, his face guarded. Hey, she said softly. What's up? Adam hesitated, then set the phone down, his eyes meeting hers. It's Nathan, he said simply, the words hanging in the air like a punch. He's been trying to reach you. I saw it on your phone last week. Mia's stomach twisted. She hadn't expected this. She hadn't expected Adam to confront her about Nathan, especially now, when they were already walking such a delicate line. I've told him I don't want to talk to him anymore, Mia said quickly, her voice rising with a mix of defensiveness and guilt. I told him it was over. I don't want him in my life, Adam. I swear. Adam looked at her for a long moment, his gaze cold. I don't know, Mia. It feels like you're still holding on to something, and I don't know how much longer I can be in a marriage where I don't feel like I'm enough. Where I feel like I'm fighting for you, and you're still distracted by him. Mia's breath caught in her throat. She had been so careful to try and avoid Nathan, to move past the mistake she had made. But here it was, right in front of her. The lingering shadow of her infidelity was still there, casting a pall over everything she had tried to rebuild. I'm not holding on to anything anymore, Mia said, her voice breaking. I swear, Adam, I'm not. But you have to understand, I've been lost. I've been so lost, and Nathan, he was a way to escape, to not think about what I was destroying. But I'm done. I'm done running. Adam's eyes softened, but the disappointment in his gaze didn't fade. I want to believe you, Mia, but I can't do this alone. I can't keep fighting for something that you're not willing to fight for too. Mia knew that Adam's words were more than just a plea. They were an ultimatum. He had given her a chance to make things right, but now he was questioning whether it was worth it, whether their love was still enough to overcome the wreckage she had caused. Mia sat down on the couch beside him, taking his hand in hers. I don't have all the answers, Adam. I don't know if we can ever go back to how it was, but I know that I don't want to lose you. I don't want to lose us. I'll do whatever it takes to make it right. But I need you to trust me. Just a little longer. Adam sighed, looking away for a moment before turning back to her. I want to trust you, Mia. I really do. But I need to see that you're all in. That you're here with me. No more distractions. No more secrets. Mia nodded, feeling the weight of his words settle deep in her chest. She had a long road ahead. She didn't know if Adam would ever fully trust her again, but she was determined to earn it, to prove that she was still worthy of his love. The tension in their home had reached a breaking point, and Mia could feel it more acutely than ever before. Adam had given her a chance, but now every word, every gesture seemed to be a test. The distance between them was suffocating, and Mia couldn't help but wonder if they were just going through the motions of a relationship that was already dead. But she had promised herself that she wasn't going to give up. Not yet, not after everything they had built. She wasn't going to let her mistakes define the rest of her life. So she tried harder. She listened more carefully. She gave him the space he needed, even when the silence between them felt unbearable. Adam had been working longer hours, which gave Mia time to reflect. Time to think about the damage she had caused, the selfishness that had driven her to seek comfort in someone else. The regret that had haunted her since the affair had ended was a constant companion, and though Adam was trying, Mia could see it in his eyes, the hurt that had been etched there. That was the problem with betrayal. It wasn't just about the actions, it was about the trust that was broken, the foundation that cracked. It wasn't something that could be healed with an apology or a promise. It took time. And even then, Mia wasn't sure if it was enough. One afternoon, Mia was at work when she got the message. It was from Nathan. His name flashed across her phone screen, and for a moment, she froze. She hadn't heard from him since the night she had ended things. A part of her wanted to ignore it, to pretend like it wasn't happening, but the temptation to open the message was too strong. Mia, I can't stop thinking about you. I miss you more than you know. Can we talk? I need you in my life. Mia's pulse quickened as she stared at the screen. The words felt like a pull, a magnet, dragging her back into the chaos she had so desperately tried to escape. But then she remembered Adam. She remembered the pain in his eyes when he had asked her to be all in, to be present. No more distractions. No more secrets. She stared at Nathan's message for what felt like an eternity. The truth was, a part of her still wanted him, still wanted the rush of being with someone who made her feel desired, powerful, and alive. But that wasn't enough. It wasn't worth losing everything she had fought for with Adam. With trembling hands, Mia deleted the message. She didn't know if she was making the right choice, but she knew it was the only choice she could make. The decision wasn't about Nathan. It wasn't even about Adam. It was about herself, about finding a way to rebuild, to face the consequences of her actions without running from them. When Mia got home later that evening, Adam was sitting at the kitchen table, his face buried in his hands. He looked exhausted, drained. Mia could tell that the weight of everything was taking its toll on him. "Adam?" she asked, her voice soft, tentative. He looked up at her, his expression unreadable. "I got a message today," he said quietly. "From Nathan." Mia's stomach dropped. "What did he say?" Adam's eyes held hers, searching for the truth. "I don't know if you want me to tell you. I'm not sure I'm ready for it either." Mia swallowed hard, her heart racing. She had known this was coming. She had known that Adam had been watching her, waiting for some sign that she was truly committed. "Nathan texted me today too," Mia said, her voice barely above a whisper. "He wanted to talk, to see me again." Adam's expression faltered, and for the first time in a long time, Mia saw the cracks in his armor. "So what did you say?" Mia closed her eyes, gathering the courage to say what she knew he needed to hear. "I told him no. I told him that I'm done. That I don't want him in my life anymore." Adam studied her carefully, his gaze intense. "And you mean that?" Mia nodded. "I do. I made a mistake, Adam. I thought that I needed something outside of us, but what I needed was right here all along. You? I was running from myself, and I dragged you into it. I'm sorry for that, but I'm done with all of it. I don't want anyone else." For a moment, there was nothing but silence between them. Adam didn't say a word, his eyes searching hers. Mia felt a wave of vulnerability wash over her, unsure if her confession was enough to restore his trust, unsure if he could ever truly forgive her. But in that silence, she felt a shift, a crack in the wall that had been built between them. "I don't know if I can forgive you right now," Adam said finally, his voice low, almost broken. "I don't know if we can go back to how things were, Mia. But I believe you. And I want to try. I don't know if it's possible, but I'll try." Mia's heart swelled with a mixture of relief and guilt. She didn't expect immediate forgiveness, but hearing those words from Adam meant everything. She wasn't sure where their marriage would go, but she knew one thing. She was willing to do whatever it took to make it work. To make up for the mistakes, the betrayal, and the pain she had caused. That night, as Mia lay in bed beside Adam, she could feel the tension in the air, still thick and unresolved. But there was something else, something she hadn't felt in a long time: hope. For the first time, the road ahead didn't seem so impossible. Adam turned to her, his hand gently brushing against hers. It was a simple gesture, but in that moment, it was everything. She wasn't sure if they were on the verge of healing, or if they were just standing at the beginning of a long, difficult road. But for the first time in weeks, Mia felt like they were in this together. Not perfectly, not without pain, but together. "We'll figure this out," Mia whispered into the darkness. "I swear." And Adam, his voice barely audible, responded, "I believe you." The days following their conversation were full of careful steps, each one heavier than the last. Mia and Adam had agreed to try. That simple, fragile promise had become the foundation they would begin to rebuild from. But with every passing day, the weight of their past mistakes continued to linger. The silence was still there, the hesitancy, the doubt, But they both knew that this was their chance, their only chance, to restore what had been lost. Mia wasn't sure how to start, what to do to prove to Adam that she was truly committed to fixing their marriage. She knew it wasn't just about the words anymore. She had spent too long hiding behind words, behind promises that she never followed through on. Now, it was time for action. But she had no roadmap, no idea what would work, what would make Adam feel safe enough to trust her again. Adam, for his part, was quieter than usual. He had agreed to give things a chance, but Mia could tell he was still holding back. She understood. How could he not? The woman he had loved, the woman he had built a life with, had shattered that life with a single mistake. The trust that had taken years to build was gone in an instant, and Mia knew that it would take years, if not more, to rebuild it. They spent their evenings in silence, side by side but miles apart. Adam would retreat into the world of work, his mind occupied by reports and phone calls. Mia would clean, make dinner, and do everything she could to maintain the semblance of normalcy. But beneath the surface, the tension grew, and Mia could feel it every time she looked at him. Every time she reached for him, every time she tried to make small talk, Adam's distance was evident. One evening, as they sat at the dinner table, Mia felt a quiet desperation creeping over her. She had made all the right moves, said all the right things, but it wasn't enough. She had to do more. Adam, she said, her voice low and tentative, I know things have been hard, and I know I've made mistakes, huge mistakes. But I want you to know that I'm here. I'm really here, and I'm not going anywhere. I'll keep showing up, every single day. I just need you to believe that. Adam didn't look up from his plate immediately, and the silence stretched between them. Mia's heart raced as she waited for him to respond, her fingers tightening around the edge of her fork. Finally, Adam placed his utensils down and met her gaze. His eyes were tired, worn, but there was something else there, too, a flicker of vulnerability. Mia, he said quietly, I want to believe you. I do. But trust isn't something you can just build back in a few weeks. It takes time. And I don't know how long it will take for me to stop feeling betrayed. Mia felt her chest tighten at his words. They hurt, but they were true. I know, she whispered. I know. And I'll wait. As long as it takes. I'll prove to you that I'm here, that I'm committed. I won't let you down again, Adam. Adam stared at her for a long moment, his gaze softening, but his face still conflicted. I don't know if I can ever forgive you, Mia. Not fully. Not yet. But I'll try. For us. For the kids. And I'll do my best to be here too, to be present. But it won't be easy. For either of us. Mia nodded, her throat tightening. I understand. And I'll be patient. I know it won't happen overnight. But I'll show you every day that I'm not the person I was. That I can be the wife you deserve. They fell into a long silence after that, neither one knowing exactly what the next step would be, but both of them knowing that this was the beginning of something. They weren't sure what the future held, but they were trying. And that was all they could do. The following weeks were filled with small victories and setbacks. Mia started therapy, something she had never considered before, but she knew she needed to confront the reasons behind her actions. She couldn't keep hiding from herself, from her own insecurities, if she wanted to fix her marriage. Adam, though he didn't attend therapy himself, seemed to be trying in his own way. He was more present with the kids, more affectionate with Mia, but the distance remained. It was a slow, painful process, but it was progress. One evening, a few weeks after their conversation, Mia sat down on the couch next to Adam, who was watching TV. She wasn't sure how to broach the subject, but she had to know. Adam, she began cautiously, how are you really feeling? I know it's been tough, and I know I can't rush you, but I need to know if we're getting anywhere. I need to know if you're even still willing to try." Adam turned to her, his expression unreadable, but there was a flicker of something in his eyes, something that felt like hope, but was fragile, tentative. "I don't know, Mia," he said slowly. "I don't know if I'm ready to say we're getting better, but I can't keep pretending everything's fine. I'm trying, though, and I need you to know that I'm not just going through the motions. But it's hard. Every day, it's hard."